Tomb of Sand by Geetanjali Shree. Translated by Daisy Rockwell.
Part 1. Ma's Back. Chapter 1. A tale tells itself. It can be complete, but also incomplete, the way all tales are. This particular tale has a border and women who come and go as they please. Once you have got women and a border, a story can write itself. Even women on their own are enough. Women are stories in themselves, full of stirrings and whisperings that float on the wind, that bend with each blade of grass. The setting sun gathers fragments of tales and fashions them into glowing lanterns that hang suspended from clouds. These too will join our story. The story's path unfurls, not knowing where it will stop, tacking to the right and left, twisting and turning, allowing anything and everything to join in the narration. It will emerge from within a volcano, swelling silently as the past boils forth into the present, bringing steam, embers, and smoke. There are two women in this story. Besides these women, there are others who came and went, those who kept coming and going, those who always stayed but weren't as important, and those yet to be mentioned, who weren't women at all. For now, let's just say that two women were important, and of these one was growing smaller and the other bigger. There were two women and one death. Two women, one death. How nicely we'll get on, us and them, once we all sit down together. Two women, one mother, one daughter. One growing downwards, the other growing upwards. One laughs and says, I'm growing smaller by the day. The other is saddened, but says nothing when she sees herself growing bigger. The mother has stopped wearing saris now that she must stuff more than half the fabric into her waist and raise the hems of her petticoats a little higher each day. Does gradually growing smaller make you cat-like so you may slip through tiny cracks and escape? Puncture a border and slip right through? Develop a knack for near invisibility? This must be the reason that the mother was able to slip through to the other side of the border, while the daughter was still fretting over how stuck they were. It's also possible that the smaller woman truly was innocent when she refused to confess to any crime on her part, be it regarding legal permissions, debates over names, or accusations of theft. Those who didn't understand her arguments considered her crazy, maybe even vicious. They suspected her of purposefully misleading. She pointed out that men always get the high quality dal and women just get leftover mash, don't they? Hmm? She spoke fearlessly. So? So does that make it right? But if you stare at them fearlessly, will the border guards understand? You have crossed the border, they reprimand. She chuckles. Anything worth doing transcends borders. Should I do nothing at all? No, they retort. And no one is foolish enough not to know this. Even goats and cows know where they not to stray. And your eyesight isn't so bad. You can't see. So how can you be forgiven? Who is asking for forgiveness? She rose with laughter, and the growing bigger daughter weeps. And is this all there is to see? Perhaps I too have seen a thing or two. Try seeing with my eyes for once. If she were to fall, she did not wish for it to be face down. Wherever the bullet came from, wherever it hit, she would fall straight back and lie supine on the ground. Regally, her eyes filled with sky. Let me practice, she would tell her daughter. The mother had started hiccuping all the time. She hiccuped and hiccuped and hiccuped. If the daughter had not been in such a state, she would have grown suspicious as to whether these hiccups were real or fake. They won't stop with water. "Give me a slap on the back," the mother would command. If the slap isn't hard enough, then try a running kick. Boom! Try it on my back, or in my stomach, or on my sides, and make sure I fall down, but on my back. Eyes open, forehead facing up, then the hiccups will surely stop. It was a strange remedy, but the daughter did as the mother asked. She kicked and kicked, boom, 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 and with this new game her mother kept falling over, bam, bam, bam. After a bit hullabaloo, observers would also burst out laughing. "Can you beat it? This old lady's too much." But the mother told the daughter that she needed to be prepared. Anyway, long story short, what happened was this. A bullet did come flying towards her, but by then the mother had become an expert at falling backwards. A bullet came, punctured her body, shot through, and out the other side. Anyone else would have sprawled face down in the mud, but Ma flipped backwards, like she was doing a somersault. She lay back on the ground in an attitude of victory, elegantly, face up, as though she was reclining on a soft bed, and sky her coverlet. Those who considered death to be an ending took this to be hers, but those in the know knew that this was no ending, knew she would simply cross to yet another border. So there is no harm in starting the story right here. That is the way we are doing it right now. 2. Before all this, there had already been one death, that of a man whose wife refused to lift herself up with his cane. This man was the husband of the same mother and the father of the same daughter. His presence was still felt even in death, but regardless of whether or not he had died, it seemed his widow certainly had. At least that's how she looked as she lay in her room. Their room, in a corner of the house. Their bed, in winter. Thick quilt, hot water bottle, woolen cap, the cane still hanging from its hook, the cup still sitting on the teapot by the bed, with no water in it. When he was alive, this was where he placed his teeth at night. In the morning, he had reached first for the teeth, then for the cane. Outside, tooth chattering cold. Inside, Ma, teeth a chatter. She was a bundle, shrinking ever more from moment to moment, sending out a scrambled signal from within her vast quilt that she was still in there somewhere. The bundle scrunched up on one side, then slid up a bit, then down, then over there. Was she testing to see how far she could spread herself? Or was she just turning her face away, turning her back on her children and grandchildren, and in the process dragging herself towards the wall to press against it with all her few years shy of 80 might to see if she could slip into it entirely? The wall plays a special role in our story, as do the doors, since you use them to get from one side to another, from here to there, on and on through the centuries, from forever to forever. It's not an unusual wall. No special artistic features, not a Thar desert wall studded with tiny mirrors, or a wall covered with collage design of rocky peaks or some such, with different shapes and colors, or sprangled with tinsel garlands and printed with designs for a wedding. Nor was it seized with a duplicitous desire in the sweep of modernity to appear old while being new, nor eager to trick our eyes into seeing a plastic wall as mud plastered, bristling with fake grasses, or set with a mosaic pattern in smooth marble. Nor still was it an awesome, colorful, tall, shiny, orange, blue, green wall made by multinationals that would never fade or scratch or peel, imperishable, immortal, enduring. It was just a simple brick and cement wall, a yellowing, whitewashed, middle class wall, holding the ceiling, floor, window, and door together, with a network of pipes, wires, and cables arrayed within, enfolding the entire home in its wakefulness. This was the sort of wall towards which Ma, now just this side of 80, was sliding gradually. A cold wall, during those winter days, and riddled with cracks, the way ordinary walls can be. What can never be known for certain was whether the wall was playing the greater role in pulling Ma towards it, or whether it was her own desire to show her back to her family that drew her in. Ma just kept getting closer and closer to the wall, and her back became a wall itself, keeping at bay those who came to coax and cajole. Get up, Ma, get up. 3. No, I won't get up. No, getting up. Not now. The bundle wrapped in the quilt mumbled, No, no, not now, not getting up. These words alarmed them, and her children grew more insistent. They were afraid. Oh, our dear mother! Papa's gone and he's taken her with him. Stop sleeping in so much. Please get up. She keeps sleeping. She just lies there, eyes closed, back to them, they whisper. When Papa was alive, she had put her all into looking after him. She was alert, at the ready, no matter how tired, busy getting ground to a pulp, very much alive, irritable, upset, coping, faltering, breathing, breath after breath after breath. Everyone's breath flowed through her, and she breathed everyone's breath. And now she's saying she won't get up, as though Papa was her only reason for living. Now he's gone. Was her reason too? No, Ma, no. The children insisted. Look outside. The sun is shining. Get up. Pick up the cane. It's hanging right there. Try some roasted rice. It has peas in it. Maybe she has loose motion. Give her a digestive powder. No, I will not. No, no, no. Ma mules. She's tired, poor thing, alone and defeated. Lift her up. Get her involved. Entertain her. Sympathy flows from them, immeasurable as the waters of the Ganga, washing over Ma's back. Not now! Ma tries to scream, but her voice comes out a whimper. Did Ma think that her children's efforts to make her live were pushing her into the wall? Was that it? When footsteps neared the room, she would turn her back. She would stick to the wall. She would play dead, eyes and nose closed, ears shut, mouth sewn, mind numb, desires extinct. Her bird had flown. But the children were also stubborn. They dug in. How to make eyes, nose, ears grow on that back? It was all the same old to her. Same squabbling and squalling. Same fire, fuel, and flour. Same wash the diapers. No, no, she repeated. Was no machination. Her words, machine-like. A machine, winding round. A worn-out mechanism. In the languor of conserving energy, she mumbled, weakly, No, 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 not getting up any more. Just a few words, but they alarmed the children. Ma is dying. Words. But what are words? Really? Hmm? They are mere sounds with meanings dangling from them that have no logic. They find their own way, arising from the squabble between a sinking body and a drowning mind. They grab hold of antonyms. The seed planted was a date tree. What blossomed was hibiscus. They wrestle with themselves, wrapped up in their own game. No, now I won't give up. Who was playing with the fear and depth of that phrase? These mechanical words became magical. and Ma kept repeating them. But they were becoming something else, or already had, an expression or true desire or the result of aimless play. No, no, I won't get up. No, I won't rise. Now. No rising. No, no, rise new. Now rise new. Now, I will arise anew. 4. A sapling of a word, creating a ripple all its own, full of hidden desires. The notes of the dying hold their own secrets, their own dreams. Like this: a tree grew, took root, but, tired of the circling shadows of familiar faces, of the embrace of leaves of familiar fragrances, of the chirping on the branches of the same old vibrations. And so it came to be that the tree felt stifled and murmured, "No, no." But there is wind and rain, and the puff of no that flies up between them and takes the form of a snippet, a scrap, that flutters and flaps and flitters, and swirls about the branch into a ribbon of desire that wind and rain unite to bind there. Each time they tie another knot, one more knot, a no knot, a no knot, a new knot, a new knot, a new desire, new, new, becoming the new refusal of no, flutter, flitter, flap, flap, flap. So it's the same old tree, the one you see right in front of you, a plume of smoke. No, no, no. On its trunk and low hanging branches trailing and dangling from above. No, no, no. And then the branches and shoots, hands and fingers leap towards the moon in the sky. No, no, new, new. Or from the ceiling, leaping, dragging, or from the wall, where it has found a hole or made one, from where a tiny being, a jagged breath, crawls out, breaking down the wall, puff by puff. 5. Who can really hate their own? But certainly they can exasperate. Get up. No. Sunshine. No. Soup. No. Back. Silent. Wall. As soon as Sid arrives, his rush to her. Sid, her favorite grandson. Siddharth, now Sid, the one and only person she can't completely turn her back on. She has been lying here since morning. She even went to the bathroom later than usual, then came back and stayed in bed. No eating, no drinking, not even touching tea to mouth. Flowers blooming, but she doesn't care. Chrysanthemums, but she doesn't care. Sid has his own ways, comes and goes with no one the wiser. Out jogging, or at the gym, a cricket match, a tennis tournament, swaggering around with his guitar, teasing, joking, parents scolding, he quick-witted and clowning with all. Slips inside with bat or racket, throws something on the floor, sprinkles water on his hands, face, tosses aside a t-shirt, sprinkles talc, grabs an apple and starts to chomp, and straight to Dadi's room. Granny, naughty girl, get up and about. Dadi's no, no, no won't fly here. What should the bag do now, at this breath of fresh air? She whimpers, but fondly. So cold. Whisper, whisper, mutter, mutter. She melts a little. An excuse, but a true one. Once uttered, truer. Really, truly. Trembling within the quilt, trembles tumbling loose like a mouse running through the dark. Ma tenses and hides, but Siddharth is Sid. Must give it a try. So she whispers her mother's old rhyme of winter. Chilla jara din 40, पूस के 15 माघ 25. Bitter cold winter for 40 days, 15 for the month of Poos, 25 for the month of Magh. Speaks after silence and quotes a melodious proverb. The voice sings, a wavy wave, that bitter cold for 40 days, 15 for Poos, 25 for Magh. Awesome, Daddy. You and me should enter the Grammys. We'll win for sure. Sid ran to fetch his guitar. He slung it around his neck and jumped onto Dadi's bed. He began to strum and sing at the top of his lungs in his own style. Just chill, chill, just chilly, cold. The cold 40 days, 40. 15 for poos on poos and 25 for mark. Yo, yo, yo. Same old. One couldn't help laughing. Ma smiled slightly. She simply couldn't run her back on this child. She couldn't stay dead, dying, around his sisting, zing-zanging pizzas. If it were anyone else, she would run her back, close her eyes, a half-dead bundle, indifferent to every role, mother, wife, widow, mother-style wife, style, widow style, or wrap them all into one, family-style role, ROLL role, and fed up with all of them. And so, at the slightest sound at the door to the house, she had curl up and die, huddle against the wall, lifeless back turned towards the world. But the door stayed open, metaphorically that is. Someone passing by. They make a sound. Ma's well-trained ear recognizes instantly, from a lifetime attuned to the sounds of others, that someone has just entered through the door. The door. 6. The door. Not many knew that this was no ordinary door. Generations had dwelt within the walls it upheld. The door to the home of her eldest son, where the walls take on different forms over time, but in reality exist within the shelter of that open door, where the same home stays standing generation after generation. Such is the fate of the homes of eldest sons. This particular eldest son, let's call him Bade, had long been employed at the sort of government job that involves many transfers, so his homes and walls kept changing cities, and his door remained open in all districts. Shifting walls. Do the walls in Bade's home glide? Do they dance? Is the door an ox that pulls the walls of the home like a cart? This is the same home in which the father and grandfather of the family had always scolded his servants and his offspring. Once this home had been on the banks of the Ganga, near fields of roses, in the eastern soil of Uttar Pradesh. Then, leaving some denizens on the household amongst the fragrance of flowers, the rest had gone to live near the perfume factories of nearby cities. Some, one hears, branched out from roses, and other to opium fields. Among these, a few became opium eaters themselves, and called themselves zamindars. Finally, the day arrived when the eldest son of the home, father of the eldest son of the present household, and husband of the present living dead mother, split off from these decadent and debased relations. Taking 9,000 rupees as his share of the walls, he became a government servant and set out on an expedition around the nation, multiplying his tribe as they moved from one bungalow to another, unaware that despite taking his share of the money and leaving, he had brought the rose-fragrant home with him, simply pouring it into different structures of bricks and mortar. However, he hadn't done anything dishonest on purpose, so it wouldn't be fair to call his actions deceitful. He was unaware of the tenacity of walls, this proclivity of theirs, and how when the next son takes the reins, they will travel with him as well. Vehicles change, herds change, time, cities, heights, widths, everything from here to there. Lots of inconstancy, all, but from the beginning of time until forever, that same home, walls and door will live on. But why badmouth the father here? Our great social scientists have been barking up the wrong tree. They have maintained that the joint family is breaking up. The ancestral homes are collapsing. Indian style is becoming selfish style. But the joint family is an invisible home. They didn't think of that. And homes are made of gliding walls. They never imagined that either. Dancing, gliding, flouncing, sweet smelling walls, and holding them all together a quiet door, open, upright, through which anyone can come and go and come, and keep coming, keep going. When you go through something, you tear through it. So what if it's a door? By walking in and out, you tear its heart wide open. That which is torn develops an increased capacity for insight and forbearance, a capacity to experience sensations that escape the notice of others. That's what it's like. See, the door to an eldest son's home through which generations ooze. The door to Bare's home knows it must remain open no matter what, and there are no constraints on those who enter, in terms of time of arrival, advance notice, or knocking before entry. Always free to be, and free of charge. You might have just come out of the bath, wrapped in a towel, and some relation from the village who has dropped by with wife and kids is standing there, and all you can do is smile and yell for tea and snacks, drape some clothing over your body, and never stop to wonder how long these guests plan to stay. The son needs a job, the daughter's getting engaged. Someone needs to gain admission somewhere. They could be glad or sad or greedy or needy. Who knows what's brought them to the door? You might have just applied a skin toning face mask, or be coloring your hair with mehndi, when suddenly your sister in law appears to introduce some friend to Ma who might make her feel better. And it's mealtime too, so everyone must eat after all, and you must go about face mask still smeared on, looking like a ghost. Or the grandson could be sharing juicy gossip with girlfriends or boyfriends and saying things like, fuck you, screw you, and then someone suddenly appears at the door, seeing, hearing, smiling, adding comments and critiques, chiming in with personal perspectives. The word privacy isn't even in the dictionary here, and if anyone lays claim to such a right, she's eyed with suspicion. What's she hiding after all? Seems fishy. And what does CCTV comprehend of all knowing secrets of a door? It has blind faith in its own technological perfection. So, how could it understand there is such a thing as a door that sees all, hears all, records all, and has been doing so long before it came into being? Everyone has been going back and forth through it since forever. Nonetheless, sometimes someone comes along, one or two or even three, who are just about to come through it when they stop. Hmm, was that a breath? A foot lifted to enter, pauses, hovers in the air. A drama unfolds in that moment. Arrested in midair, dramatically balancing, a foot upraised as though startled, and now can't decide whether to forge ahead or return whence it came, as though in a quandary, as to where the world lies, ahead or behind, which is reality and which is make believe. The race foot becomes a hovering question. Am I on this side or that? Every time Bare's sister pauses in this pose at this door, the thought flashes through her mind. Have I been acting until now, or am I just about to start? 7. Bare's sister disliked airports because she found herself in them all the time. She felt like a tiny bug among many, trapped in a laboratory. Fake lights, fake passions, fake pushing and shoving. Bugs like her, crammed into every crevice, all terribly busy and awfully foolish, running in every direction, looking for their gates. Everyone's been dressed in clean and crisp attire, and everyone's had identical wheeled suitcases attached to them that pull them along. In this glittering fluorescence, their every movement is observed, their every particularity captured by the cameras. That bug just stroked the collar of its Louis Vuitton blouse with its tiny hand, and that one has stuck its finger up its nose. What sort of procreative sport is taking place in this vast arena? Did the scientists gather us together when we will nestle inside our eggs under controlled heat and light? Our incubator, to see us hatching, foolishly waving our arms and legs in the air, rolling upside down, then fleeing in old age. From confusion to confusion, the bugs stand in line, the bugs break the line, the bugs scatter. Alert eyes follow them, suspicious, interrogating. The egg cracks, rocks, is X-rayed. It's okay for bugs to be bugs, but for humans to be bugs? Eck! The infamy! But really, this watching, this assessing, it's an experience that travels across lifetimes for sisters and daughters. Just when they want to flee their families and they have lifted a foot to step away and they have lost in self doubt, wondering whether they should go inside or come out, they arrive at the airport, fleeing one type of surveillance, they fall under the type of another. They chafe at the environment in a familiar fashion and develop an understandable loathing for airports. 8. Something must be said about the daughter. We'll call her Betty. After all, she is one of the two main women in this tale, and will make her presence felt throughout. Both women are integral to the family and so are bound by a love that both fattens and starves. Whatever fattening and starving hasn't already happened will surely occur in due course. Let's not bring up all the past moments and stories here, since we have no need for them at present. They are over now, and we don't need to remember everything all the time. Like when Betty was growing up and Ma had not yet grown old, and the household was constantly roiled with controversies over social codes, traditions, culture, protection, and Ma would grow short of breath as she tried to calm everyone else breathing. But the funny thing was, amidst all the to-do, Ma managed to forge a path towards the forbidden, like the window opening out into the guava orchard. It was Ma who had cleared this hidden path for Betty's comings and goings. Inside, there was a constant uproar of no, absolutely not. She won't go out. And in the meantime, Betty leapt through the open window and fluttered off like a bird. Only Ma knew. For the rest of them, by the time they heard she wasn't in her room, Betty was busy playing Antakshari, singing at the top of her lungs on the train, chuk 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 with her prose. She would climb a mountain, or plunge into the sea, or break off shards from the stars and swing from brittle bits of straw, fall apart, break down, and through it all Ma still had confidence in her. And when those stars and straws evolved into the forms of friends and lovers, Ma would still open the window wide for her to leap out and go to them. The window had become so useful that Ma had also learned how to hoist herself up, pivot, and jump out. She came out in silence of night with snacks, shakkarpara, matri, party chokha, tied up in bundles, and she would meet up with Betty, banished from home, hidden away in the dense karonda bushes along the boundary wall, where they would giggle like little girls. And let's not forget the day Ma handed a bright green Banarsi sari over the bushes to her banished or runaway daughter for the wedding of one of her girlfriends, and measured her while getting pricked by thorns all the while, so she could alter the matching blouse for the occasion. And the way those two women hid at such times, frightened, chatting, glancing about anxiously, bursting with laughter. It was like the forbidden romance of the century, enough to bring tears to the eyes. But we shall not allow the tale to stray through bygone days. The present context is this: Betty, who lived alone, had come to uplift Ma, lying alone, but there was no open window yet. It was winter. 9. Betty. Daughters are made of wind and air, invisible even in the moments of stillness, when only the very sensitive perceive them. but if not still, then stirring, and oh, how they stir! And the sky bows down so low you could reach out and touch it with your hand. Dry earth cracks, nightingales rise, gurgling springs surface, hillocks peek out. The unique expanse of nature unfurls on all sides, and suddenly you realize your perceptions of distance and depth have got mixed up. A breath falls on hair like a soft petal, feels like a boulder in the roaring sea. That which you had imagined from a distance to be snow-covered peak is up close her finger, and will not melt. The wick of your wits dissolves, and the overshadowing darkness remains a mere shadow. As when night falls and it keeps on being night, or if it's daytime, and day stretches ceaselessly on, and the wind blows as the soul sighs, whipping everywhere, tossing and turning into a witch, and flinging itself on everyone, everything. Daughter, you love her, you fear her, now you see her, now you don't. All women, don't forget, are daughters. Once upon a time, there was a childhood. A clear white light filled with air and earth seemed to join the sky. You swayed in the sky, your tiny arms upraised, and you took your first steps. The egg cracked, rocked, fled. Then the wind began to blow and the clouds began to sway. Silver dust rained through the air. A distant mountain was concealed by a cloud, lending it the appearance of an enormous lounging elephant. A tree peered in the window and rustled in the breeze, and every leaf showered down like rain. Betty's lower lip trembled with weeping, and Ma picked her up. What happened next was that Ma became the trembling lip. She rested Betty's head on her shoulder and began to hum to soothe her. She told her that the large elephant was waiting for Betty to come and ride it, and the two of them would sway together, and the leaves gossiped. Listen, listen, they are telling stories. And Betty smiled, and this made Ma smile too. Betty's weeping gradually stilled and turned to sighing, and Ma too switched from sobbing to sighing. Betty fell asleep, and Ma draped her imagination in gorgeous dreams. And at that moment, love took the form of a body. Ma's breathing calmed. Betty's turned to gurgling, and the elephant's back shouted for joy. Because the leaf said love is not good for the health. Either it is unselfish and you would gladly give your breath to another, or it's egotistical and you will devour another's breath. In love's struggle, one withers as the other blossoms. One is shaded, the other illuminated. Once a sheep, the other a shepherd. Once the feet, the other a towering head. Once a glutton, as the other starves. One rides the winds, as the other is trampled underfoot. One blossoms, the other fades. This was the custom in the time of this tale, and this was the room where one arrived by walking through the door, and this was where Ma lay, back to the world, as though dead. She had grown tired of breathing for them, feeling their feelings, bearing their desires, carrying their animosities. She was tired. She was tired of all of them, and she wanted to glide into the wall with a tremor. If a bug slipped into a crevice, would the crevice itself start breathing? One can speak of love at any time because love is lovely. It is natural, also tempestuous. When love is boundless, it breaks out into the cosmos. Its essence reaches a pinnacle, and the drive to overpower one another flames out. The difference between thrum and flame is erased, and it neither stops for anyone nor hesitates at any boundary. Its gleam spreads in every direction, casting the world in magic, so magical that the air shimmers, a palace of mirrors, a mirage. Now, who is real and who is the reflection? So beautiful, so powerful, that God hustles out of the way. The love between a parent and a child can make God fade into the background, and effusive love makes the breath run from here to there. So one might collapse for loss of breath, and the other puff up with the breaths of both. One completely disappears, while the other grows so bloated it could burst, discharging a filthy, foul-smelling essence. For example, once there was a mother, like all mothers, who had said to her son, "You are my God," and the son said to her, "You are the great sacrificing goddess laying waste to everyone's sorrows." Both began to map themselves onto one another, and one became a boa constrictor and the other the object of love. One became a boa constrictor and the other the object of love. One of them huffed and puffed, the other gasps for breath. One of them huffed and puffed, the other gasped for breath. One grew fatter, the other shrank. So much love that their two lives became one. Conventional wisdom had it that this was perfectly fine for the mother, because what was left of her life was moth-eaten and bare. What she had got were bonus years. The son had given her rebirth. But another opinion held that it didn't exactly work out so well for son, did it? It was still the start of his life, but now his time in youth not bound to his mother, right? His back had doubled over from lifting her up and helping her fly, and this was a very sad thing. There was also a daughter, like all daughters, so mad with her father's love that no man could be his equal, and neither was the father prepared to hitch his princess to some lesser being. So it was the father who became the cure for any ailment, the topaz for any ring, and then that girl's youth and life, if not entirely, but more than half, evaporated. 10. Enough. Let's get back. Although the tale has no need for a single stream, it is free to run, flow into rivers and lakes, into fresh new waters. But for now, we must insist on straying, so for the time being we simply won't. Let's return to where we began the story, to the land of the two women.